Welcome to episode 323 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the Wreck 'em All Day and Night edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew, somehow or another awake after staying up till almost 2 o'clock in the morning to watch the Cup Series Quaker State 400 sold at Walmart Cup Series race. And the Marty Party, I got to tell you, the Marty Party is like on 5-hour energies, Red Bulls, and every other energy drink. He is like shot out of a canyon when he does his pre-race show. But they had a 3-hour rain delay, Phil, after starting the race at 7:20 in the evening on a Sunday night in Hampton, Georgia. We'll talk about that, of course, and more. But as always, I'm with my co-host and good friend, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, the Firecracker 400 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, brother?
Doing great, Phil. Of course, yeah, for me, I also stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch that end of that race. So, yeah, that was great race there. I mean, honestly, like for me, it got to 11:20. I'm like, all right, I'll watch for about 10 minutes here, and I'll go to bed, and actually go to bed on time for once. And then it's Atlanta, so I was like, oh, this seems like it's gonna keep going, so let's keep watching. And then it came down to 1 o'clock, 1:15. I'm like, all right, may as well keep watching here until the end. So yeah, that was an exciting race there this past weekend at Atlanta for the Cup Series. So yeah, ready to get into it.
Yeah, for Ryan Blaney, a huge weekend for him, huge weekend for Ford on what has been a really down year. But we'll get into it. But Ryan Blaney is Ford in NASCAR right now, period. And he has proven that. They had a stat yesterday. I don't know if Snyder said it or Alexander, that of the last, I feel like he said the last 13 wins that Ford has had, or some crazy number, has been Blaney. It's only of the last 13 wins, or however many wins with Ford, has been Blaney, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it's 13, but it's been a lot of. The vast majority of them has been for him, which is why Penske gave him a long-term deal. It's why Ford uses him in their marketing. It's why he can look like John Holmes and have a crazy porn stash and get away with it. He is legitimately the legitimate most popular driver in the sport. I don't care what people say about Clyde. How many different fan bases he got to take from, on top of the 15 people from Dawsonville that were like, oh, I'll like Chase too, who had it's not really that hard. But and then Hurricane Hocevar is another one. We'll talk about him. His rivalry with Zane Smith, which is basically, he hit everybody within a 2-mile radius of his 77 car, and this pissed him off, and he doesn't show any remorse. We'll talk about all that. Bubba Wallace getting penalized, losing a ton of points in his battle to make this chase. We'll get in everything that went on at EchoPark, Atlanta. The O'Reilly Series race was an absolute cluster. Fuck. I call it the 8 hours of Atlanta, even though the Petit Le Mans is a few months away. They basically had a mini version of it in the Focused Health 250, where JRM tried to end themselves, as they usually do in these races. Got close. It almost happened, but Justin Allgaier gets another win at Atlanta, this time on this configuration, and goes and gets his 34th career O'Reilly Series victory. And just an unbelievable year for him. He's locked into the playoff and is going to be the number 1 seed. We'll get in everything went on there. looks like more than almost half the field, nearly half the field was destroyed in this race. So get into that. The Truck Series race was at Lime Rock. They had good announcing with Eric Brennan, but they didn't have great racing. Uh, there was It was pretty much a bore fest. 7 cautions, um, with 1 red flag, um, two stage breaks, but they went clean through the first stage, and then it got bad after that. Multi truck incidents, 2 multi truck incidents, um, going and kind of marring the race. You had Thomas Annunziata blowing up and catching on fire after winning the ARCA race on Friday afternoon. Annunziata had a chance to win and get the double, get his first career truck win, the New Jersey native, but he struggled there. We'll get into everything that happened there. And for Grant Enfinger, the noted road racer, LOL, going out there with the robot team and basically getting himself into the playoff. What has been a rough year for him, a lot of issues early in the year, but he gets himself into this chase playoff more than likely with that victory, with the layout of the rest of the races that they're going to have in the Truck Series. Roundup, we'll talk, hit some talking points on World Endurance Championship, Supercars, MotoGP, Moto2, IMSA had 3 of the 4 categories at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. World Superbikes were at Donington for one of their usual rounds in the Nicolo Balega Championship. And Sonoma Nationals for NHRA, the first of 2 races in the Western Swing. Then Rally Estonia, Indy NXT at Nashville, and then F2 and F3 at Spa, which will lead into preview for the Belgian Grand Prix, one of the great races in Formula One that it looks like is going to be in a alternating year deal after this race this year. Will be every other year on the calendar because of the amount of whatever's Middle Eastern countries and all these other countries, dictatorship type countries that are buying into Formula One and want races. IndyCar will be at Nashville Superspeedway this weekend after some of their drivers went and greeted Orangeade in promoting the MAGA 250. That'll be taking place next month. And then Cup and Trucks at North Wilkesboro for the first points race, Cup points race since 1996 there. And I'm old enough to remember it, so it tells you I've been watching this a long time. It's crazy. I never thought in a million years that North Wilkesboro would ever host another Cup points race, but here we are. They have hosted truck points races, and they have a really good field and some interesting late model names in there, so there's going to be some bumping. So it'll actually be one of the tougher fields to make for the Truck Series. So we'll talk about all that. Josh will let us know all things going on iRacing, gaming, and sim segment, and we'll call it a day. But yeah, let's get into the race at Atlanta, whatever, EchoPark, whatever the hell you want to call it. The Superspeedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway now is I think Terre Haute, they call it the action track, and I think this track, the way it is with this configuration, could go and argue that distinction. The amount of action that went on during the race on Sunday night, the amount of passing, the intensity, basically like it's got fields of Bristol where you feel like you're in. I've always thought of Bristol as like a cereal bowl, and you have 40 cars in a cereal bowl. Well, Atlanta Echo Park has that similar feel, but it's drafting track. It's got the drafting package. I honestly would love to see them put the 1.5 mile package on these cars and see what that would do with the racing. I think it would still be good. But as it stands, they're going to keep it this way. This is what they want. And, I mean, you had 30 lead changes amongst 10 drivers, so not as many lead changes as there has been in previous races. There were 7 cautions, two for the stages and 1 for the red flag that lasted over 3 hours. So essentially 4 incidents that took place, 3 in the last basically 30 laps of the race. So it was a relatively clean race up until the issues for AJ Allmendinger at lap 195. There also involved Michael McDowell. But when it came down to it, I mean, there were certain drivers that were able to get up there and get some solid stage points. The Penske cars were 3 of those recipients. Tyler Reddick was the other that got stage points in both stages. But when it came down to it in qualifying, it was Ryan Blaney. When they did the pre-race show, he was sitting at the desk and they were talking to him. He was up front and ready to go. And even after wall contact and being pissed at his bestie, he still recovered and made the pass on Hurricane Hocevar to go out there and get his 19th career Cup Series victory, and his first at Atlanta with the drafting package. Was one of the best average finishes for anybody on this configuration, and one of the best known drafting drivers at the moment as well. But this was a masterclass of plus credit to Hassler, Penske, and that whole 12 group for building such a great race car that he could lose a lead and within a very short amount of time get it right back. And so it was a really great performance, Josh. And I mean, I'll get into the results here quickly before I throw to you, because it was really about Blaney. You had the likes of Christopher Bell, who came from 32nd to finish second. Hocevar, who had a cut tire, had to come down pit road, lost a lap. He came back, finished third. Keebler Gibbs, fourth. Led the second most laps. Those are Gibbs and Hocevar led the second, third most laps. Blaney led 14 times for 171 laps and scored all but one, was 1 point away from a perfect race score there. The fastest lap was run by fucking Cody Ware. Wow. Okay. Then you had Reddick, who scored stage points in both stages, finished 8th. Made up some ground on Dennis Hamlin, who finished 12th. You had Clyde there, led 5 laps. Gumby Cindric finished 14th. Prix, Sperry led a lap each. Bubba Wallace led 11 laps. Finished second at the end of regulation, but was penalized for going under the yellow line, which, I mean, he weaved to try and avoid Hocevar there at the end, and I mean, I understood what he was trying to do, but he went too far down. He had enough room. I mean, I'm a Bubba guy, so it's like I don't have a reason to mince words one way or the other. He made an error there, unfortunately. He had done a lot of good in that race, and he put himself in a position to give himself a chance to win. Atlanta's been a tough spot for him where he's been in contention to win a few times and has had some issues with closing the deal, unfortunately. And then lost freaking 30 points in basically because he would have finished. He would have finished second there. He probably would have gotten 30. He would have gotten 35 points at least. He lost probably 35 points there with that penalty. So unfortunate for him. Larson cleared himself across the nose of Hamlin and triggered a late race incident that involved Riley Herbst and Chase Briscoe, who was coming off of a second and a first the last 2 weeks and was a few laps away from probably salvaging a reasonable result, and then got loose trying to avoid Larson, destroyed his shit, and then gets another outside 30 finish, which is just brutal. And it stinks because there was times during the race yesterday where he had a car that was wasn't a winning car by any means, but probably a top 10 car, and he would lose ground. He needed a long run. Once the tires fell off, it seemed like he could run up there, but then lost ground and it went away from him. But yeah, Blaney, and I mean, we talked about it offline, Josh, and I mean, there's only one Ford that actually is a contender. It's the 12 car. Blaney wins most of the races for Ford. Penske's basically building their team around Ryan Blaney. He is one of the most popular drivers in the sport. He has cachet. He has it all. And fundamentally, he is someone that is to be reckoned with in terms of this championship. I think even though they may not have the pace of the the Toyotas, that team is battle tested in the championship format, and being able to compete when it matters most. And it's runs like this one, which they needed to deal with adversity. They had to wait 3 hours plus, where even though Ford is behind, we both agreed that he could possibly, I mean, not only could he compete for this championship when it comes down to it at Homestead in 4 months' time, but I think he could even be in the mix to get a regular season title now, because he's basically a race behind now in points. He's been 130, 40, 50 points behind for a good amount of the year, and now he's only 66 back. So, I mean, what are your takeaways from everything that went on at Atlanta on Sunday in the Cup Series?
Well, yeah, just speaking on Ryan Blaney alone, yeah, I mean, he is a great drafter and all that stuff, but it also just, I mean, just an amazing car that he had, because it was one thing to see guys just take runs from the draft that they had, but he was really the only one who could really just do anything with it. You know, it's kind of similar to, in a way, to like, you know, what Dale Jr. was able to do back in the day at Daytona and Talladega, where when he had a strong car, he'd just take runs and go up into the lead and just, you know, drive build a big lead in the center of the corner, which is exactly what you kind of saw Blaney do there. Anytime he was able to get up into the lead there, so great car for Ryan Blaney there. Just a phenomenal effort by that whole team, and obviously led the most laps and was able to get the final push to get to the win there. So it was a really crazy race there throughout the day. I mean, you had the rain delay, you had the late race incidents and everything. So yeah, it was definitely a wild event for sure. And, again, even though it wasn't as competitive in terms of lead changes like we've seen in previous Atlanta races, I mean, it was still really good and still a candidate for race of the year for Atlanta, like it has been the last 2 or 3 years now, since the repave and all that. So great win for Blaney, and of course, like you said, puts him in a position to be an outside shot for the regular season championship. Of course, Denny Hamlin still has the lead there. Tyler Reddick now in second there, but Blaney does have a chance here. If he continues to be consistent, maybe get another win. Could be in the window there. Obviously, you have the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at the end of August for the chase beginning there. He's obviously won there a few times. Won there last year. You have North Wilkesboro. Penske, theoretically has a good short track program with the flat tracks there. That is a flat track, relatively speaking. Indianapolis. He's had good runs at in the 12 car in the past there. So that's more of a strategy track. So you could see them pull off good strategy there. Iowa, I guess another flat track. Richmond, very similar to Iowa. New Hampshire, kind of the same there. So theoretically, there is an opportunity there for Blaney to go on a bit of a run here to catch up to Reddick and Hamlin, put himself in that conversation for the favorite to win the championship. But at the same time, the chase is filled with a lot of 1.5 mile tracks, and you don't have the benefit of having the round resets or only needing to focus on certain tracks to advance. Now you have to put up a full body of work, and just not sure yet if they're able to do that and sustain like what the Toyotas have during that portion of the schedule. So we'll see what he's able to do, but certainly now putting himself in a position here to potentially contend for that first spot here in when the chase begins. But for the rest of the field, obviously Bubba Wallace, I mean, that was a very big hot topic button today in social media, going from second on track to 29th. Big point swing there for him. He only comes away with 9 points here instead of 39 like he had initially. And I mean, it was definitely a tough call for him. Yes, he completed the pass after he returned back on to the above the yellow line there, but just swung out too far. It was too deliberate of a move to say that he was only trying to avoid Hocevar. If he maybe was half a lane below the yellow line there, maybe you could say, or a quarter of the way down, maybe you could say it was okay, but there's definitely he definitely went way past it there to really say that he wasn't trying to advance his position there like that. So it's a tough deal for Bubba, of course, kind of damper on the effort that they had, because they were up there too. He was up there with Blaney, really, one of the only guys who could really go up there and take it from Blaney there at during that race. So 29th there for Bubba, of course, and loses points to the cut line there that he probably would like to have there. So it's definitely a tough deal there, trying to go for the win to go for it and then end up losing out on that. So honestly, the yellow line rule it's always been kind of arbitrary anyways in NASCAR over the years since they introduced that back in 2001, And I mean, I get it's supposed to be a safety thing, but it's always just made no sense in terms of how they enforce it and everything. So yeah, it's just one of those things that we have to deal with here at the Speedway tracks here. So yeah, tough deal for Bubba Wallace there. Yeah, for Hocevar, of course. Hocevar is obviously the talk of the town and making new enemies, all that stuff. Funny how he was able to kind of lean into this before the race with I guess they had a thing with his trailer for 77 people that showed up. If they had a different driver's shirt, then he would trade it for a Hocevar shirt. So good deal for activation, I guess, for him and getting people to like him, I guess, and all that. But yeah, I mean, it is a problem because I think you definitely noticed that he wasn't getting as much help throughout the race particularly from the other Chevy drivers and just other drivers in general. I think they were just refusing to really give an effort to push him up front, especially when it counted at the end. So yeah, just not a lot of drivers are really friendly with him right now, and that's something that's gonna catch up to him eventually, especially with the way that he races people right now. I mean, yeah, it's exciting and it's fun to watch and everything, but there's a cost at the end of the day when when someone else uses you up for an opportunity to get a win, and then you experience the other side of that, like what you were doing to other people. So that's eventually Hocevar is gonna kind of understand that, I guess, and everything. And I think a lot of people kind of the vibe I've gotten from a lot of people from the drivers and inside is that he's not really all that smart and everything, and I think you can kind of see that, and he just kind of doesn't care, but it's entertaining. So that's the other side of it, is he is entertaining to watch and all that. So obviously we'll see how he continues to grow, and obviously with the chase coming up, theoretically there is an opportunity for a title for him. So don't think that would happen, but certainly when you have a chance to be in the playoffs or in the chase, then you'd like to be able to capitalize on that and be able to win. So we'll see what he's able to do, but yeah, another good run for Hocevar there. Of course, Larson, Briscoe, they had things up front where, I mean, Larson was up there in the top 5 for a good majority of that race too, but then things started kind of come undone towards the end. Obviously, bit of a stack up mid pack and has to spin out to avoid wrecking, and then later on, I mean, I don't want to say he cleared himself onto Denny Hamlin, but it definitely just kind of looked like they just sort of just came together incidentally there for him and Denny Hamlin. They're kind of just two cars like kind of just sort of beginning to merge together, because I couldn't really tell from the onboard camera whether he tried to get clear of Hamlin and just turned himself there, or they just kind of magnetically came together, and then he got in the wall and spun out and ended his day there. So it's really hard to tell there, but still typical result for him on a drafting track there, having some sort of incident kind of ruining his effort there. And then Briscoe last week with what happened to him winning, and then this week having another wreck, bit of a damper there on his momentum there. So I guess Briscoe, both of them probably looking to get back on track next week at North Wilkesboro there. So we'll see what happens there, but overall entertaining race. I guess other guys that were up front, I mean, SVG had a chance for the win there at the end, but he got tight there coming to the last lap there. So I mean, he had good tires there at the end. I think he was one of the only guys in the top 10 that had taken at least 2 tires after those late yellows there. So great effort for SVG. At least picks up some points there to cut line, especially after his last couple of races where he had wins. So for him being on the kind of on that edge of the cut line gives him more security and being able to continue I guess the path to making the chase there. So good effort for him there. So Yeah, overall, I mean, like I said, it was a entertaining race. I mean, I don't really know why we had to put this race on Sunday night. Because I mean, yeah, obviously it was exciting to watch and everything, but last year this race was a Saturday night race. I mean, I don't know if it had anything to do with the World Cup or anything like that. I think they had World Cup events in Atlanta this weekend, but definitely, it was definitely a late night for sure on a Sunday night, and especially on a non-holiday weekend. With no Monday holiday or Sunday holiday or anything like that. Just just a different vibe. Having just a NASCAR race on a Sunday night like that. Usually this would be on a Saturday night race like it was last year, but whatever reason this year is Sunday nights. So and only saying that because of the rain. Because if it didn't rain, then maybe we wouldn't be complaining about it that much. But nonetheless, you want to not go to bed at 2:00 in the morning after the race like that, but that's okay because it was still entertaining to watch, and that's why I stayed up, because it was entertaining. So don't really regret that, but the timing of it, have to think about that in the future if you're a schedule maker for the series and all that. So it was a good race, and hopefully we can see more of a battle here with the points lead as we get down to Daytona here at the end of August.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one now. There's 3 drivers that are in it, at least for the regular season title. There are other pods within the points that we will look at here. But yeah, I mean, great points all in terms of, for some of these drivers, what they gained, what they lost. On this day, knowing that, of course, you look at Daytona, you mentioned it, you're going to be there. Be there with Joe, who was at Atlanta at least for one of the races this past weekend, but probably was there for both, like you're saying. But you look at the rest of this regular season here, you got Wilkesboro and you got Indy before the last off week of the season, and then they'll run out the last 4 weeks of the regular season with Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire, and then Daytona, which I think is in the favor of someone like Ryan Blaney based on the kind of cars and the kind of racing that he and the Ford teams are best at, before you get into the playoff, which will have a similar kind of feel to start, but then become mostly 1.5 mile racetracks with 3, a whole second round of 1.5 mile racetracks, and then the final race of the season being a 1.5 mile racetrack. So we will see how that goes. But points as we go into North Wilkesboro, Hamlin, Reddick both have locked up a chase berth, based on points and based on how many points they're ahead of, I guess 16th place, I believe. Yeah, that's what it is. Because even if like they didn't show up for the next however many weeks, which they can't do that anyway, that's, what is it, 60 or 65 or 60, it's 70, what is it, 55 to 76 times 6, I guess is what it is. That's how it works there. Is 456 points. So I don't know how that's determined, but whatever. Blaney in third, 65 points back. That's basically the battle for the regular season. You have Keebler Gibbs, who's in his own realm there, in fourth, moves moves up a spot, I believe, or no, he didn't move up a spot. Nobody moved within the top 7 in points. Elliott has a 16-point lead on Larson. Then Larson 26 points ahead of Buscher, 31 ahead of Hocevar, and 43 ahead of Christopher Bell, 59 or 52 ahead of Briscoe after the wreck there, lost 2 places in points. I mean, the intrigue, I think, is really from there's a 48 points separating 7th through 12th. That includes the 2 Spire cars. That includes Briscoe and Bell for Gibbs Racing. And then you have Buscher and Byron, who was getting a little snippy with Rudy Fugle on the radio, actually showing he has a pulse. Bobo lost, as I said, lost a ton of points. Didn't lose a position in points, but that finish, if he had finished second, would have been he would have been right in the mix with those other 6 drivers. Instead, now he has to go out there the rest of these regular season races to gain more ground back. Cindric, with a solid run, gets himself into 14th in points. SVG drops a spot, but is still in the chase. He is 23 points ahead of Eric Jones and 31 ahead of Logano and 49 ahead of Ryan Prix. So that is kind of where it's at. Brad Keselowski, rough night for him. AJ Allmendinger lost a ton of ground. As it stands, really, that's the last car now that has a chance. AJ Allmendinger is currently 40, I believe, yeah, he's 40 points back of Eric Jones, and he lost a ton of points last night at Atlanta. McDowell's 3 points ahead of him. Ross Chastain's 5 points ahead. Brad Keselowski's 7. So that's a small battle amongst those 4, but that doesn't mean anything. It's really about trying to get into the 16. Joey Logano 8 points behind Eric Jones, the 3-time Cup Series champion, trying to fight for a playoff spot. We'll see how that all goes. O'Reilly Series ran the Focused Health 250. I think the scheduled distance was 160 laps. I might be, or I mean, yeah, it was, what is it, 72? I feel like it's 160 laps because they ran 14.88 miles more. So that's at least 8 laps. So maybe it's under 65. I have no effing clue. It's 163. Okay, there you go. So it ran 9 laps over scheduled distance. And you had 19 lead changes amongst 11 drivers. You had 2 drivers basically fall out immediately, with Jeb Burton having to start and park because of brakes, Joey Gase because he start and parks, Carson Ware driving the 47. That's basically a start and park, and Logan Bearden too. First real actual issue was for Harrison Burton blowing up. Nightmare season for him continues. Taylor Gray loses a ton of points, gets involved in a wreck, but he wasn't the only one. There were 13 cautions for 76 laps. There was 3 red flags for what amounted to 24 minutes 24 and a half minutes, or 4 red flags, which almost was like a half an hour there. So unbelievable. The amount of damage we saw. The race that came down late, Nick Sanchez moved old Hank Hill out of the way and knocked him out, it's an RCR affiliate car, that 87, but he doesn't have a full-time ride, so he didn't really care if he wrecked his shit, and I'm glad too that he wrecked him. But I mean, there was to the white flag. Brendan Poole was coming to the white flag with a chance to possibly win his first O'Reilly race, and then him and Sanchez got together, took out Sammy Smith, I believe, there. You had LeVar Scott get wrecked late in that deal. I mean, a lot of drivers. You had Sam Mayer get destroyed. Durant got the pole, led 33 laps. Corey Day, another points contender. Taylor Gray, Jesse Love locks into the chase, even with a 26th place finish. Sheldon Creed, coming off of his win earlier this year at Atlanta, only finishes 25th. Brent Cruz in that battle for the cutoff, 24th. Sammy Smith did get some good stage points, though, to salvage a finish of 18th. Dean Thompson get a stage point. Clemens, Rajak Ruth getting top tens. Both of them scored stage points in both stages. Corey Day got stage points in both stages. Allgaier, Quapple, the other two. For Allgaier, led 15 laps, not the most laps. That was Sammy Smith. Mayer led 33, and Carson Quapple led 29. He'll be running the rest of the season in the one car, so opportunity for Carson Quapple. He had another second place finish, but I think that win is right around the corner. Now that he'll be able to be in that car the whole rest of the season. Retzloff and Alfredo give Viking Motorsports 2 cars in the top 5. Retzloff continues to put himself in a position to make the chase. Sawalich, a huge top 5. Garrett Smithley, a 6th place finish. Bruckshot Jones coming off of the win at Chicago the week before. Kyle Sieg has to be up there for his best finish of his career, somewhere around there. Caruth, Clements, round out your top 10. Glenn Reen finished 15th. All right. So yeah, I mean, you had drivers trying to. I don't know who the fuck he is, but he drives for Joey Gase. He drives for Joey Gase, and he finished 15th. So credit to him for somebody I've never heard of. I saw some other guys. I saw Leland Honeyman sitting on the wall after he fell out of the race, and he was frustrated. Jordan Anderson getting junked. He runs limited races, of course, as a driver, whereas he's running that car all year. So getting junked isn't a great thing for him. And he had generally speaking, it was a terrible day for his organization because, Burton didn't even finish a lap. And then Blaine Perkins finished 20th in a race which had 13 cautions. So Allgaier goes out there, gets another win. It wasn't straightforward by any means, but I gotta say, for somebody who's saying he might be retiring, he looks better than he ever has. And even with the typical junior motorsports F-ups at the end of a plate race, old Allgaier was able to fade them and get yet another victory. in this season and solidify his favorite status for this championship.
Yeah, I mean, continuing to dominate the series for Justin Allgaier. So, yeah, it's going to be a very tough decision here at the end of the year if he decides to stay on or move on from competing in the O'Reilly series here. So, yeah, Justin Allgaier, yeah, for a minute, it didn't look like he was going to win this race. Maybe it was going to be Carson Kvapil or even Raja Karuth there finally, both of them finally getting their first wins here in the Riley series here. But yeah, Allgaier at the end came away with it and definitely, had some sparks there at the end. So he definitely had issues of his own with his car. So his car wasn't 100% after that. Even touched off one of the final wrecks there off of the restart that caused him to go to a green-white checker there. So that was definitely part of that incident there. So, just another, incident there of an incident-filled race. And even the last lap, had issues there. Of course, like you said, Brandon Poole getting into it there with Nick Sanchez, who had an opportunity to get a second win here at Atlanta there. So, for Allgaier, continuing to dominate the series, and just knows how to put himself up there at the end, and make it count. So, for him, I mean, just another win for him here. I mean, it's now his sixth win here, so that's the most he's ever had in his season here in the O'Reilly series. So, certainly. With the way things are going, you'd think that he would be able to continue this run. He's already at 16 top 10 finishes here, and the most he's ever had was 24 in a full season. So certainly could be another record there for him. So we'll see. But for the other guys, I mean, Carson Kvapil, has had opportunities to win races here this season, and the other ones like, San Diego kind of got taken away from him there. But, I felt like this one was really a good opportunity here, but he just didn't capitalize to be able to win. So just going to have to continue to go back to it and see what can he do differently. But, this is just another opportunity for him that kind of got away from him for a win here and everything. But still good run for him overall though. And led a ton of laps there. Retzlaff definitely had an opportunity as well. So a lot of these guys really, just because of the sheer amount of crashing that happened here in this race, definitely gave an opportunity for a lot of these guys that don't normally compete for wins here, an opportunity to potentially have a good finish or run up front. Garrett Smithley finishing in the top 10 is pretty crazy. Kyle Sieg, Kyle Sieg maybe not unheard of completely, but certainly for that team you wouldn't really expect it. Mason Maggio just outside of the top 10 and 11th there. Patrick Starpoli, after not getting in 13th, and like you said, Glenn Reen, who I looked him up here. I guess he's a modified driver here, but never heard of him until now. So he finished in the top 15 there. So I guess that's good for him. But just so many sheer amount of cars that wrecked here that just made it very comical just to see how many wrecks they would have or single car incidents that they would have throughout this, and just the amount of red flags that we had in this race. 4 red flags, and most of them occurring after the finals, within the final stage. Just absolute absurdity here in being able to finish the race, and kind of shows the differences between the two packages. I think this style of racetrack fits the Cup Series better than the O'Reilly Series, but you also saw kind of how things can get spread out. Stage 2, the battle for the win in Stage 2 with Allgaier and Sammy Smith. Things were so spread out. They're looking kind of like actual old Atlanta there for a minute in terms of the how things were. So be interesting to see kind of how Atlanta for the O'Reilly series here in the next couple of years, how it evolves versus how the Cup series, how the racing that in that series evolves. Well, we expect it in the Cup series to kind of stay kind of the pack racing style that it's been here, where you actually have room to pass. But kind of wonder if in the O'Reilly series, if it's going to start looking like the actual old Atlanta Motor Speedway that we had up until the repave a couple of years ago. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, still just shows that sometimes in the Xfinity series, the O'Reilly series, they just lose their ability to compose themselves, I guess, in these pack races. So we'll see what it looks like here in a couple weeks when they go to Daytona. But yeah, for the O'Reilly series, just the overall poor effort by the most of the series and just the amount of crashing that they had.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Doing that much damage, but I guess in their mind they knew they had a week off, so it didn't really bother them as much. But it seems to be a trend, and I don't think it's a good trend. To be destroying all that stuff, and I mean, you had that goofball Sam Mayer basically saying it's going to happen again at Indy, but they'll be going much slower. There, and I think it'll be less unless you're crashing going into turn one or going into on the restarts and stuff. But guess we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks at Indianapolis. Allgaier, Love, as I mentioned, both are locked into the chase. Creed is 4 points ahead of Day, 11 points ahead of Quapple, 29 points ahead of Bruckshot Jones, 34 ahead of Hank Hill. So that's basically from third through seventh is still a battle for points and points positioning. And that'll be interesting to look at. Sammy Smith kind of in his own world along with Parker Retzloff. Sam Mayer is right on the cusp. He's only 15 points ahead of Brent Cruz and 16 ahead of Taylor Gray, who's on the cutoff. Rajah Caruth is 17 points out. Sawalic's 21 out. For being honest, that's really where that's the end, the cutoff line at this point for this regular to get into the this playoff, because after they're gonna have the O'Reilly series is basically it's gonna get very choppy in terms of their schedule now. They're going to have 4 off weeks and basically 6. They're only going to race Indianapolis, then they're going to race Iowa, have a week off, then race Iowa, then they'll have 2 weeks, and they'll go to Daytona. So it's gonna slow down now for the O'Reilly series. They ran 16 weeks in a row to start the year. Now they've run 5 weeks in a row, and then it's going to slow down heading into the before the Daytona race here. But then once they start the last race of the regular season, they'll go right into the playoff. Only have 1 off week in the chase there, so we'll see how that all goes. Truck series was the Liuna 150 at Lime Rock Park. Second time they've been there. It was Lane Riggs on pole. He won stage 1, finished second in stage 2. You had Caden Honeycutt up there. He started third. They swapped stage points and stuff there. Riggs ends up being buried in the end, but Honeycutt goes up there, finishes third. Riggs did, in the end, he led the most laps, finished one lap down in 23rd. Honeycutt was third, so he ended up gaining 21 points on his title rival there. But in the end, it was Grant Enfinger who outlasted the field, outlasted Landon Lewis, who's going to be running that 45 for the rest of the season. Honeycutt and Kligerman, who Connecticut driver, part owner of Lime Rock Park now. There was 7 cautions for 39 laps. There was no reds, but multiple incidents. Eckes finished 5th. He's dealing with an injury. I forget what they said was what he got. If it was a foot injury, yeah, that he suffered recently. I don't think it was from San Diego. So yeah, he was battling there to a top 5. Hemrick, Andres Perez, Tanner Gray, Stu Ball, and Colin Braun driving the 25 for Colleague and Ram. Gets a top 10 finish. Cole Butcher, Brendan Butterbean Queen, Jackson Lee. A lot of these guys buried at the start of the race came up front. Haley, Sutton. There were 22 trucks on the lead lap. Louis Foster ended up 21st in his Truck Series debut. Former Indy NXT champion and current IndyCar Series driver for Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan. Gio Ruggiero was up front late in the race. Connor Mozak, who started second. Graham Doyle, the son of Dan Doyle. Dex Imaging races in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Probably has known the Taylor family for his entire existence. You had some of these other ones. Annunziata I mentioned his truck caught on fire, blew up, and had smoke and fire inhalation, so he had to go to a hospital. Drive shaft issues for Chandler Smith, loses out on an opportunity there. Ben Rhodes wrecks. Ty Majeski gets wrecked. Even though he went on radio and he was saying we were on a trend where we have one good race, one bad race, and that's basically the whole year. And the trend was for them to have a bad race, and that happened, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, this race was a little more straightforward in the fact that Riggs and you had Ruggiero, and I think you had Butcher trying strategy there with some of the caution trying to run it out, but really it was the Riggs truck and Honeycutt, which they're the two best in this series right now, Josh, and I don't see who's really going to beat them. I'll give Grant Enfinger credit, though. He's not a known road racer. The Robot team is not known for making their hay there. I think they do it more in the short tracks because that's the bread and butter for Grant Enfinger. But to go out there in what has been a struggle this entire year and in the midst of all the chaos, go out and get a victory at Lime Rock Park is huge for that organization and for Grant Enfinger and trying to get an elusive championship, which definitely seems more elusive the way that the 38 and the 34 and the 11 are running this year.
Yeah, it definitely seems very elusive there for Grant Enfinger, and only led 4 laps or 5 laps in this race here, and yeah, pretty good battle there at the end. But yeah, we really haven't heard from Grant Enfinger in quite a while in the Truck Series. First win in over a year for Enfinger here. So yeah, good win. I mean, yeah, I don't think he'll be a contender here in the Truck Series championship. Still buried quite a bit on points here, sitting in ninth. And yeah, I don't think, unless like, you know, they go win out every race from here on out, I don't think they'll be a contender for the championship here and everything. And yeah, it's very surprising, you know, to see Lane Riggs not win this race. Of course, he had his own issues here, so yeah, a bit of a shock there. Caden Honeycutt, of course, finished third to kind of stay within touch of Lane Riggs, but yeah, just a crazy race, you know, throughout for the Truck Series here. But you know, for Grant Enfinger, yeah, first road course win. So he was able to beat out Gio Ruggiero. So, you know, still for some of the guys here in the Truck Series, for you know, maybe one of the more senior guys here on the tour, pretty good win for him here. So yeah, just would have expected differently here. I mean, Thomas and Nunziata also had a good run, but of course, yeah, that was very scary with the incident there, getting transported to the hospital. So glad to see that he's okay after that. So yeah, Riggs lap down there, but still has that 44-point lead over Caden Honeycutt, and yeah, 4 races left here to settle the regular season here. So we'll see who comes out of it, but yeah, I think my money's still on Lane Riggs to come out of this on top to start the chase, but we'll see what happens here in the next coming weeks here. But yeah, kind of an interesting race here at Lime Rock Park for the trucks here, and yeah, we'll see I guess where they go to North Wilkesboro. So yeah, there will be at North Wilkesboro here with the Cup Series. So yeah, we'll see who comes out on top here in North Wilkesboro. But yeah, should be a interesting fight for the last couple of spots here in the chase.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that right here in terms of the points for the trucks. Riggs and Honeycutt probably lock themselves into the championship here this coming weekend, and solid battle between Chandler Smith, Eckes, and Ruggiero for 3rd through 5th. Majeski, Rhodes, Hemrick, and Enfinger separated by 20 points. Enfinger 25 ahead of Ankrum, who's on the cutoff at the moment. Friesen and Garcia are 17 points back. Brendan Queen is 21 points back. And, you know, I think that's really the end there. Andres Perez, you could probably get a little crazy and say like Andres Perez, Justin Haley, Tanner Gray, but I mean, Tanner Gray hasn't really done anything all year. He's 41 back with 4 races to go until their regular season is over. They're going to race Wilkesboro, Indianapolis Raceway Park back-to-back weekends, take 2 weeks off, then race back-to-back at Richmond and New Hampshire, then take 3 weeks off before they start their chase at Bristol. Then race Kansas, take an off week, go to Charlotte for a race on the oval, of course, now. Then Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville, and then Homestead to end the chase playoff there. So 4 races to go in their regular season, so we'll see how that all goes for the trucks. Yeah, I mean, I think there was, we talked about Hosavar. I know they talked about it on Speed Freaks and how he uh, basically doesn't have any remorse. And I think that's part of the problem that you brought it up earlier, or Josh, that that disconnect, as much as he may have joy and maybe Spire wants him to have that joy and, kind of be carefree, and maybe this car, I fundamentally think, I was thinking about it yesterday, that I feel like the way this car is, if it was more like the Gen 6 or Gen 5 car, where if somebody got into you and like slammed into you and damaged your car, got into your corner, like one of the front fenders, it would damage your entire day. I think there would be a little bit more of a logic where Hosavar is like, oh crap, I can't do that. But because this car is so, I guess, pliable, I don't I mean I don't know what the word would be, where you can hit walls and it kind of just stays on. Now they've made these toe links a lot stronger. Uh, it doesn't seem to bother him that people want to run into him and try to wreck his shit. And that's, I think, part of the issue, where he doesn't feel he has to have any remorse, and that is a problem for everybody else on the racetrack. Yeah, let's get into the um, World Endurance Championship. We'll get into the uh, roundup. BMW goes and wins the 6 hours at Interlagos. First race post Le Mans. This time it was the number 15 with Kevin Magnussen, Raffaele Marciello, and Dries Vanthoor going out there and getting the win in the GT, or in the GT category. It was I don't know why they don't, so and I were in, trying to go through all that. Then it was the LMGT3 was the Peter Dempsey, Salih Ulok, and Charlie Eastwood Corvette TF Sport car after the 33 won at Le Mans. So that's credit to those guys. Ferrari number 51 was second in hypercar, and the number 12 Cadillac finished third, and 2 Ferraris, 2 Cadillacs in the top 5. The second BMW was 6th. Best Aston was 7th. In the GT3 category, I mentioned a Corvette. Then the WRT BMW was 2nd. Parker Thompson, Dan Harper among their driver lineup. And the Ben Manthey Porsche number 92 finished 3rd. So there's that for the WEC. Supercars were at Townsville and saw the in where are we at? Oh, that's not what I want. Yeah, so Cam Waters won race 1, Matt Payne won race 2, and Brody Kostecki won race 3. Kostecki leads, or second or third in points. He has the most wins, 6 wins, but trails Matt Payne and Brock Feeney in points. Right now, with Matt Payne 3 wins, leads the points by 90 or so over Brock Feeney. Then another Brock Feeney has nearly 100 on Brody Kostecki, who's up by 8 on Cam Waters. So that's the battle there for that regular season, the sprint title. Before they make the playoff, the top 10 make the playoff in the Supercars. Jack LeBrock only 11 points ahead of James Golding for that last spot. Defending series champion Chaz Mostert in ninth. What is it? 24 points behind his teammate. So we'll see what happens there. It's a big gap between LeBrock and Golding on to the next cars there, which are Jaden Ojeda, Randall, Andre Heimgardner. Only 2 Chevys right now currently in their playoff, and then 2 Toyotas. Rest are Ford. All right, MotoGP. Marc Marquez won another German Grand Prix at the Sachsenring, and Marco Bezzecchi crashed in practice and fell out, so he didn't even get to run. Iagura finished within 2 seconds, Marquez, so credit to him on that. The Trackhouse Aprilia team, second and third. Iagura's 14 points behind Jorge Martin. Of course, Segura is going to Yamaha next year to be teammates with Jorge Martin. So there is that. Then you have Marc Marquez's 18 points back. Marco Bezzecchi's 22 back. Hasn't scored in the last 3 races. Then Fabio Di Gianantonio is 5th, 24 points back. So that's the battle for the world championship. And it looks like Marc Marquez, the way if he's able to stay upright and he's able to stay relatively healthy, I think it's going to be a problem for everybody there. And then in Moto 2, out of Curiosity, Gonzalez still leads by a decent margin, 51.5 over Guevara, 59.5 over Senna Agis. Ortola won his second, he's won 2 out of the last 3 races. David Alonso finished second, and Philippe Salic finished third for the American Racing Team, sponsored by OnlyFans. That's interesting. Joe Roberts, I think that might be his best finish of the year, getting an 8th place finish, currently 14th in points. Then IMSA was at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. You had LMP2 as the main category there, and then both GT classes were in person for that event. Thought I had IMSA amongst all these tabs. I guess I don't. So the race results, saw the Chevy Grand Prix, Tom Dillman and Clark for Inter Europol get the win by just under 10 seconds over George Kurtz and Alex Quinn. The CrowdStrike Racing by APR car, and then PJ Hyatt, Dane Cameron, the AO Racing 99 rounding out your podium. Ricky Taylor was driving for the Brian Hurd Autosport, PR1 Matheson 52, finished 4th. 5 cars on the lead lap there. Daniel Goldberg and Ben Hanley in the United Autosports 22. Jack Hawksworth, Ben Barnicoat get the win in GTD Pro over Nick Tandy and Harry King in the AO Racing Rexy. They were in trouble possibly to make it on fuel, but they were able to because of getting lapped late. Neil Verhagen, Connor DeFilippi, Paul Miller Racing BMW, your 3rd place finisher in GTD Pro. Then Russell Ward, Philip Ellis, Winward Racing, Mercedes. The winners in GTD over Aaron Telitz, Benjamin Peterson, Vassar Sullivan, Lexus, and then Patrick Gallagher and Robbie Foley in the Turner Motorsports BMW. Your podium finishers there in the Chevy Grand Prix. Their next round of the championship will be at Elkhart Lake, and that'll be in 16 days' time. That'll include all the classes, of course, because it's a big track. So will be cool to see that. World Superbikes were at Donington Park, and Iker Lackawanna. Wow, somebody actually beat Nicolo Balega. What a miracle. That's free practice. In race 1, Iker Lackawanna beats his teammate, and in Montella, Garrett Gerloff was 8th, sandwiched by his pseudo teammate in the Bimota Kawasaki's. Bridewell was I think a wild card and ran well the whole weekend. Balega wins the Super Pole race over Montella and Lowe's. Sam Lowe's. Gerloff 9th. Then in race 2, Balega over Lackawanna Montella. Gerloff was 6th. So then standings as we head into Balega, of course, still leading over Iker Lackawanna. The closest battle points-wise is Alex and Sam Lowe's, the brothers, only separated by 5 points. Then Bassani and Baldassari, 8 points. Gerloff 8 has moved into the top 10 now, the solid weekend. 4 points ahead, or 3 points ahead of Alvaro Bautista, 4 ahead of Miguel Oliveira, and 11 ahead of Locatelli. Sura is 15 points back. So that's still a battle that's going to exist for the rest of the season. After this race, they're taking basically 2 months off before they go to Manicourt and then run out more or less the rest of the season. They'll run Manicourt, Cremona in Italy, Estoril, and then Jerez. So then NHRA will be back with the first of 2 Western swing races at Sonoma, getting closer to their playoff cutoff at the U.S. Nationals. Rally Estonia, WRC points battle, of course, for Toyota between Efren Evans and Takamoto Katsuda, separated by 11. Ogier gets the win this last round to try and keep himself in the mix for a possible 10th World Championship. Won 2 of the last 4 rounds, so he is 37 points back at the moment. Sammy Payari in 4th and Oliver Silberg in 5th. Best of the Hyundais, Neuville and Formeau are tied there. So, and then a massive gap after that, which includes some of the Rally 2 drivers. So then, Indy next will be at Nashville, and then F2 and F3 will be at Spa, which leads us to the Belgian Grand Prix. Josh, and let us get into that. Here you got you got first dibs last week. Also, yeah, our picks did not work out. The algorithm, none of it. Okay, I think theoretically I was the closest. Wow, that's a rare instance. All right, so let's get into F1 Belgian Grand Prix. I am going to go with AKA to win with I'm gonna say this might be kind of an upset. I think Piastri and Fish Lips uh, rounding out podium. I'm not having Ferrari on the podium. I feel like their deficit with the power unit will get exposed at this circuit more than it has been. I think Silverstone, it's a right mix of corners and the way that the race kind of went. Now, of course, if it rains, then who knows what'll happen because it's Spa. But I'm thinking AKA can go out there and reassert himself after what was a scruffy British Grand Prix for him. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, it's tough. I will just say that George Russell wins this with Antonelli second and Lando Norris in third.
Go and put Woody in there. So Woody Russell to win with AK and Lando rounding out podium. All right, we'll see what happens. So we both are not believing in what Ferrari's bringing to the table for this week. Will hopefully prove us wrong. Let Lewis to go and win there. I think the real one would be if they were to somehow or another bring in new engine for Monza. That's what I think is going to happen. They had an upgrade for immediately ready a few races ago, but I feel like they're going to have like a special version for Monza to try and win the Italian Grand Prix, but we'll see about that. You got Nashville for IndyCar here. After this race, they'll have a couple of weeks off. After that, so it'll be almost 3 weeks before the next race, and essentially starting that stretch run to finish the season at that point. So this race, of course, you'd think about the likes of Joseph Newgarden because he's the Oval King, Pato Award, but what are your thoughts on this, Josh? Who are you taking for this race here? I'm bringing up the past driver performance. Dixon has won there, of course, is way back when, 3 times. You have Newgarden, who has won there last year. And then, that's it. I mean, you have Pato's finished second here in 24. Newgarden is first and third. McLaughlin, third and fifth. Kirkwood, sixth last year, fourth and 24. Root Beer Floathead, eighth and sixth. Kiffin Simpson actually finished fourth last year. Wow. Rosenquist was seventh last year. Palou, 11th and 24, second last year. So And then, yeah, so who are you taking for the Indy cars at Nashville?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pato O'Ward to win. Capitalize on his Mid Ohio win, come to Nashville where he's finished second, ran well there last year as well. And I guess my wild card, I guess it's a wild card because he's 21st in points right now, but I'm gonna go with Christian Rasmussen, who of course has done well at oval tracks in his IndyCar career so far. So I'll go with him.
It is a good call because, how he ran at Phoenix. He won at the Milwaukee Mile last year and then proceeded to crash turn 2 lap 1 in the race at Nashville to end the season. So I would venture to believe after the way this season has gone, he wants to get through turns 1 and 2 and complete a lap. But if there is one person that I think would be a great call as a flyer for this race, I think it is Christian Rasmussen. So you're covering all corners there. I I have to go with the guy he's won 2 races this year already, so it's not like it would be out of the realm for it to happen here. There's been 3 oval races, 2 of them have been won by Joseph Newgarden. So I'm just going to go Newgarden. In terms of the points standings and wild card choice, I'm going to go with I'll go with ECR as well. I'll go with Alexander Rossi there. So all Chevys picked here. What is it? Joseph Newgarden to win and Alexander Rossi. Well, I'm taking the injured list drivers too in the process because both of them are dealing with injuries. Newgarden in the Penske games, they posted the new Penske games, insisted on doing his at least the first bit with the cold what do you call the ALS ice bucket challenge aspect of it shirtless, which I think was totally intentional, but whatever. Because hell, Connor Daly said that he should have been the first person on the Borg Warner with face and abs. So, guess if you have him, show him. Let's go to the Truck Series at North Wilkesboro. So that one will be a little bit interesting in terms of qualifying. Mentioned a sponsor offline. It's a Borchetta Bourbon Grand Prix of Nashville for the Indy cars. Definitely the other side of it here. The Faith Fest Jesus is Lord 250 presented by Mercer Transportation at North Wilkesboro Speedway. I'm sure they're showing their faith with all the inbreeding out there, but you have 39 for 36, right? So there will be so there will be 3 trucks that go home. Different drivers than usual. You have Nick Leitz in the 1 for Tricon. Nobody in the 5 as of now. Luke Baldwin driving for Rayum again in the number 2. Donovan Strauss in the number 4 for Nice. Some guy named William Clyde Elliott II driving a triple header this weekend. He's trying to drive in all. He's going to drive in all 3 races. Or no, not triple header. But they said triple header.
Cars
Oh, he's
Tour.
running the late model. He's running the Cars Tour. That's right. My bad. Thank you. Let's see here. Who else is not a usual driver? Clayton Green, 22. No Neck. No Neck driving the 25 for Colleague, former Dodge driver for many years. His most successful year in Cup was driving Dodges in 2003 when he won 8 races. Casey Klein or Clean driving the 27 for Ackley War. Thamart Farms, then Panini for Frankie Muniz. Timmy Hill back this week for driving his family number 56. Chris Bell driving the 62 for Almar Friesen. Jonathan Schaefer driving for MBM. Shane Van Gisbergen driving for Spire in the 71. Landon Huffman getting an opportunity at one of the tracks he races at in the Cars Tour, driving for Henderson Motorsports with help from Cletus McFarland, amongst others, to get him there. Nathan Nicholson, who has support from Whelen Engineering, driving the Freedom Racing 76. Carson Osavar in the 77. And then, yeah, that's about it. So, for me, I get first dibs, so I'm just going to pick Clyde. Why not? That truck seems to do well every single week when it at least has a Cup driver in it. I probably could have went with Riggs or Honeycutt. I would have been pretty good with those picks, but Clyde's there, so why not? My wild card selection here, I would have wanted to take Butterbean, but he's in the playoff battle. I'll go with Landon Huffman. It'll be interesting to see. That Henderson truck is a good truck. He is a solid driver, so see what he can do. So WCE 2 to win, and Landon Huffman wild card. Didn't bother to put my name to it. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lane Riggs to win here this weekend, and I guess my wild card go with Ryan Newman here, bring him back, see what he can do here in the Truck Series.
Old No Neck, of course, didn't run at North Wilkesboro. I think he's run mods there, so possibility, and be interesting to see what he says about them. Mopar colleague trucks hopefully can help out the regular guys in Butterbean and Haley, who are both trying to make the playoff here. Minnie Tyrell, of course, a rookie who runs on the Cars Tour, so I think he has some experience. There might be an opportunity for him, and then Corey LaJoy as well. So let's see. So last but not least is the Cup Series Window World 450. There's 37 cars. The only open car is Chad Fincham. And then, so I'm trying to see anything that's the 2-car for Austin Cindric will look like the old Miller Genuine Draft car of Krusty Wallace. So that'll be Cool there, cool looking car with the Penske 60 years as well, with the photographs on the wrap. Trying to see something sponsors or whatever, but yeah, we'll get into it. So yeah, Josh, you get first dibs here on we've had a few all-star races at North Wilkesboro in recent years, and so uh, there is some recent precedent. Of course, they were using different compound tires and stuff like that. So the um, I don't think the fantasy stats will come up. So yeah, the it's hard to pick because I don't think there's any short track that they race at um for, you know, in recent times that actually can fit with what they've been doing. So it's I'm trying to see Convertible. They got the Truck Series and the O'Reilly Series actually raced there in the mid '80s. Wow. Okay. Um, they don't show the stats from the All Star races.
Yeah. Well,
So
I mean, I was gonna go off of the All Star races. I can just remember that, and I mean, for me, I'm just gonna go with Chris Bell to win, which he won the All Star race last year, right? With that, so yeah, I'll go with him to win. I mean, he's been finishing second here the last couple weeks. I mean, this one finished third on track to Ryan Blaney, but ended up finishing second here and had tons of top fives, tons of potential here the last handful of weeks. I mean, even going back to when he broke his hand or his wrist there, so he's been on the cups of having a victory here the last month and a half here. So yeah, we'll go with Chris Bell to win, and then I guess for me, wild card. I don't know. This one's tough for the wild card because, again, because the All Star race being split up, you don't really see what it looks like in a full field here, and you don't really know. So, I'm gonna go with Ty Dillon here as a wild card. Really out there, but there's been crazier things that have happened here.
Yeah, Ty Dillon, that's kind of basically as close to home as it can get for him. If you were to go out there and do something in this all-star race, or not all-star race, I mean this race at North Wilkesboro. So Cup Series at North Wilkesboro. Josh goes with Chris Bell to end his winless streak, and Ty Dillon wild card. I will go and keep on the bandwagon of momentum with Ryan Blaney. I'll say he'll get 2 in a row. And my wild card will also fit in that realm of Penske, and I'll say Josh Berry. He has nothing to race for in terms of a cup future, I don't think. I think he's angling to drive that 7 next year. I would assume also that they're probably working on trying to get either Quapple or Raja to. They trying to convince the Brandt family that one of them guys would be the right pick, but I think Josh Berry would be an easy transition there. So I'll go with YRB to win and Josh Berry wild card. All right, Josh, it's your time here at the sim segment. Let us know what's going on in iRacing and gaming. There's new news with the IndyCar game too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's big news here this past weekend. IndyCar Racing 2027 looks like it's going to come out next spring, 2027. So yeah, looking forward to that release here coming up soon. We've been wondering for months when this IndyCar game was finally going to come out. After talking about it last year, after the NASCAR 26 game came out last year, now they're making an IndyCar one. So glad to see iRacing put some timeline to this. People thought maybe late fall this year it would come out, but yeah, next year looking like come out finally, which I think is good because it gives them more time to get the game ready and developed and all that stuff for everybody, and looks like it's on track for that time anyway, so good there. Obviously very little detail to it right now. Obviously you've seen the cover or screenshot of Alex Palou's car on there with Pato O'Ward in the foreground there, crossing the line of bricks there, or yard of bricks at Indianapolis. So yeah, very excited to see what this game ends up looking like, and yeah, we'll try to get the game. So yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to it and playing it for myself. So yeah, next year, 2027 springtime. So maybe around the time that IndyCar season starts next year, in late February, early March, as it usually does. So yeah, very much looking forward to that there. I guess in regular iRacing news this week, trying to look at it, I think yeah, IndyCar Nashville this week, NASCAR at North Wilkesboro this week. So yeah, that's taken care of there. I think the late models as well to match real life are at North Wilkesboro as well there. So maybe give that a shot. We'll see. IndyCar is at Nashville Sports Car Series. Think yeah, the 24 Hours of Spa just happened anyways. So yeah, that took place this past weekend, I think. And then I think the let's see, GT Toyota GR is at Spa this week. GT3 Series, the American Tour at Lime Rock Park this week. LMP2 prototype at Jose Carlos Pace there. I think that's Brazil. I think Michelin Pilot Challenge at Road America, Production Endurance Challenge at Road America as well. So yeah, I think the next special event for iRacing is the Brickyard 400. So which I talked about that last week, I think. So see how that goes there. Oh yeah, they are increasing. They are that was another bit of news here. Minor update for iRacing. The only second time in their 20-year history, iRacing subscription pricing will increase starting on August 18th. So previously, the 1 month subscription was $13, 3 months was $33, 12 months was $110, 24 months, 2 years was $199. So now we'll increase to $14.75 for a month, $37.50 for 3 months, $124.50 for 12, and then $222.50 for 2 years. So that's only direct iRacing account pricing. Cars and tracks will not change. So they've increased their development investment in new exciting features, and they're upgrading the graphics engine and single player career mode for iRacing. So that goes into effect on August 18th there. So not much of an increase, but definitely one to notice there a little bit there, but not a not a negative, I guess, to say the least there. So that happened, of course. And then yes, the IndyCar game, like I said, that's the other standalone IndyCar game, and that'll be on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Steam on PC next year. And they did 2 images here, Palou and Pato O'Ward crossing the yard of bricks there. So in the game, which actually looks pretty good. So give him credit there. That's it this week on Sim segment. Of course, last week the Firecracker 400 as mentioned there. And you can find that stream on my Twitch, uSailor2. You can go in there, find all the streams there. So that's still up there for there. And finally got the certificate there, which I just looked at it here. So first place split number 8 for the 2026 Firecracker 400 there, fixed setup. So good stuff there. You can go on there and watch the stream there of the win, of course, and other things that I've had on my account there. Twitter at JB Huffine. Go on there and follow me, and look for NASCAR hot takes like we have here. Jaguars updates and stuff like that on Twitter, JP Huffine. Photography account, Josh Huffine Photography. You can follow me on there. Of course, YouTube channel, Gripster Podcasts on YouTube. You can follow me on there as well, or follow us on there as well. And like our videos, subscribe to our channel there. So, great racing this week. Somehow we have the energy to stay up until 2 a.m. to watch it, and then record this at 11 p.m. the next night to be able to talk about it. So we must be crazy, I guess, there. But good talk this week, of course, and look forward to the first points paying race here at North Wilkesboro and NASCAR in 30 years, and I guess IndyCar at Nashville. So looking forward to good day of racing here. I guess on Sunday.
Yeah, crazy is a way to put is a word for it. I'll say passionate, I think, is another one, and it's what's got us here 323 episodes in. So it's a passion project for us, and talking about racing, be able to do this helps get away from struggles or some of the negative thoughts that might exist or whatever's going on. Be a good respite here. Can, as Josh mentioned, the Gripster Podcast YouTube page, GSP 1428, also can find the Gripster Podcast, at least the audio feed. Instagram, PGMGSP28, Twitter, PG Matthew 28. You can find the Gripster Podcast at philipgmatthew.com. Like, comment, subscribe. Let your friends know about it, and listen to it. And thank you, Josh, as always, brother, for your help and for your great insights, and for everyone that does listen and support and all over the world. We'll come back next week for episode 324 to recap the first points paying race at North Wilkesboro in a Cup Series in 30 years, when Jeffy was young and winning all the time. Not William Clyde Elliott II, but actual William Clyde Elliott was driving out there, and Rusty Wallace and Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett and Jeff Burton, actually, amongst other people. And Junebug was probably running around there being all crazy, dropping S-bombs the way he dropped an S-bomb on the pre-race show too. Probably out there going and being out to no good. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about IndyCars in Nashville, Formula One at Spa, and everything else going on in the world of motorsports. Football is getting closer, so football talk will come back as well. We will talk about that all here on the Gripster Podcast next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and we'll see you around the corner.